get into it. So yesterday I sketched out this header with an idea for a new type of data structure for doing object file rewrites. So the plan here today is to go and implement this and then start testing it maybe too, like the plugging it in somewhere. I think that what immediately occurs to me as an option is if this works, I should be able to use it to implement ObjFromRaw right on this thing, right? And you can see ObjFromRaw right now is directly talking to I think the old version of the generator stuff, right? Like it's creating the symbol lists and yeah, it's doing this stuff. So this part here should be replaceable with what's over here, right? I guess to put it another way, we'll just make sure we've got everything we would need. And check this out for a bit. Going on here. I think that some of this naming scheme is a mistake, because I at least need to scope it to the object generator somehow. Fix that. Let's try it that way. Okay. Section new. So right now the way you do this is you go section fields section, and we're going to go set some information. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's see, what did we do with this here? Okay, we want to mark flags like this. Data comes from the symbol node that we're iterating. And then there's a new symbol too. Now, where does the name come from? Symbol name. So we create a section. The data of that section comes from whatever data was associated with the symbol. Then we create a symbol. The name of that symbol is associated with whatever the name of this, like, original version, you know, the internal symbol node here was carrying. And that symbol points at the data that we blopped here. We are just using a whole section to, we're using one whole section to store each of these data blobs, so they're all going to get concatenated later by this, by the fact that they have the same name here. But we're going to, you know, since they're all R data, they'll go together. But the symbols can then just be set by saying it's this section with this offset of 0. No more complexity. Well, that part is pretty good. Let's keep going on this. This is what I want to do. Object file generator. All of this explicitly managing headers and symbol tables and stuff. I want that all out. Assembling the file manually. That should be not the user's responsibility either. I think that's it. That's all of the specifics of this object generator. The rest of it was just hand, you know, the fact that there was no abstraction for the generation part. So okay, so there we go. That's the new implementation for ObjFromRaw. It's this replace this. Okay. Not, you know, maybe obvious unless I put them side by side, but I think it's a good step in the right direction, right? Initialization has dropped to that much. This part here is just about equal, although it actually is expanded out because I'm not using like function syntax. I'm spelling out each field one line at a time. So I've expanded the part that is meaningful, which I think is actually a good a step in the right direction. You don't always want to shrink code, making code less dense and therefore more verbose, right? Density, this is higher density, this is lower density. I think that sometimes there's a payoff to going, hey, let's expand out the part that carries special meaning, and then the part that is boilerplate, which is all of this, that. I think that's a good sign that we're heading in the right direction. The question is now, can I actually pull off an implementation for this interface? I think what we'll do is we'll make this the test case for today. I'll be building ObjFromRaw. And as a test case, I'll run it here first. And then if that's working, we also want to test it. I have a really bad workflow for this. I need to test ObjFromRaw on something that actually uses these shaders. But I don't have anything sitting around here in the run. OGL render shaders.obj. Who builds against that? Nobody. Nobody at all. Nobody in the entire project. Well, fine. Cross that bridge later. Hey, welcome. I don't really know what your first comment means at all, so I'm gonna just plow on through like I didn't even see it. Okay, I need to figure out what. Oh, I do make sure that gets filled. Yeah, I gotta figure out what my memory management is gonna look like here, because I've got an ID system. I want sort of stable, unique IDs. And so that could just be a counter. And when I free something, I just will not reuse the ID. The memory for something can be deleted. Like we can say this is no longer in, like to destroy, remove this object from the data structure, and so it'll just be permanently marked as deleted. But then the ID counter will just keep growing. And in a setup like that, the hard part will be mapping IDs to the data nodes quickly. Hey, Young Lane. Because we could make an array for them for a while, But the farther that grows, the larger and larger that array gets. So the way you really want to mark them as deleted is by having a sparse storage system, and you're kind of doing like a hash mapping kind of thing, right? It's not really, there's no hash involved, but you're taking your indexes and you're looping them into, an indexable space. Like you have to go track down. Ah, I see. Mutable objects. Yep, yep. I haven't seen I haven't seen the acronym before, but it makes sense. No, it's not. It's not for the faint of heart getting into the object file land. It's certainly an opaque and murky area. The alternative is that you recycle the ID. So if you use 5 and then you delete it and then you allocate 5 again, you get 5 back with a generational counter, right? So it's like 5 generation 0, 5 generation 1, 5 generation 2. But the 5 always indexes to the same spot, and whenever something gets deleted, that index is then free to be reused, but the generational counter on it increments. This doesn't need a hash map. It can be fast indexing. I think this is the way we want to do it. Just talking it out right now, I think we want to do it like an entity system. So we're gonna do that first. This is gonna just take a little time. I'm gonna just kind of sink in and work on this. If I get questions, I'll maybe stop and answer them. But I don't know if I can talk it all through out loud. I'm gonna just kind of feel my way through for a little bit, and if I get it, maybe I'll go back and explain what I'm going for. What am I missing? Okay. What's this one you don't like? Oh, right. Yeah. Now we just gotta implement a bunch of these to get this thing working. Um, Start with this one. This can't be right. Hold on, let me think. I think it's this. We want to set this pointer, whatever is next. Now, I'm not putting a next field in here. Instead, I'm just casting this. And this is in the free list. We'll take the first 8 bytes as a pointer. Take this as a pointer to a struct whose first field is a pointer. And dereference that struct once to read the next pointer. Yeah, I think this is right. We want to read this pointer's. This thing is a pointer, but its type needs to get shifted one because what it's pointing to when it's free is a chain of pointers like this, right? Each of them is a pointer to the next pointer. And when we dereference those, we get a pointer pointing to the actual next spot in the chain, and then we want to treat it as a full node of this type. I think that's the way to do it. I've never tried to do a free list like this before without having to hit a next point struct explicitly. Let's just give it a shot and see how it works out. Otherwise, since we have an arena, we'll just push another section field struct in whenever we need to. We get a stable ID and a zeroed out section fields associated to it. Big Bang Studios, hello. And then I want to get one of these things. code. We can just do a ObjFromRaw. Make a new section. We can access a field. We need to be able to make a new symbol. So that's going to look a lot like field. I mean a section. Now the question is there any way I could deduplicate? I don't know, maybe, but it kind of feels overwhelming, like maybe that's just a little bit too dense, so I'll let it spread out instead. We still need that, so that's how you allocate one. This is pretty dense already. Check the type, and then we've got a symbol field. And then there's the generate function, and then ObjFromRaw is actually up and running. Yeah, I mean, pretty simple program, so it's not surprising that with the cleaned up API, there's not that many requirements put on it, I guess. Let's implement our first pass generator and see what happens. So this might get a little bit hairy because here I'm pretending like it's just going to be a no big deal generate function, but it's actually going to have to account for all of the structuring that was being done in the boilerplate here that I've now thrown out. You know, creating the final section list, patch list, config for the object and the symbol table. All of this used to be sort of spread out. Maybe it doesn't need to be quite that complex, but you know, there's a lot of things that get managed. And all of this is boilerplate, which is sort of like one layer abstracted up. It's like a half abstraction up from the basic problem already. So underneath this, there's even more complexity being hidden, and all of it is going to now fit here. I could just use the old generator code to get started and deconstruct the old generator code in place here. Right. I have a half abstraction here. I've got a whole abstraction here. Let's just use the half abstraction. Let's reduce the whole abstraction to this half abstraction, and then we can inline the logic over time from there. Now what we do is we iterate all of our data nodes. Okay. Each section Right, I skipped this. um, I missed that. Okay. Hey, Paging Turner. Uh, Alaxel, I do have a full-time job. I mean, I'm self-employed. I'm doing what I do now is what I do full-time. I don't have a traditional job, I suppose. Sure. So I run this website plus all the related research projects going on that go on with it. So that includes putting out software. Some of it's just open source stuff that you can go check out. Like all of this is, I don't think Podcastoscope is open source right now. And the most recent version of my code base is currently only available to members. So members are getting access to like new iterations of stuff all the time. I've also got some like 4Coder used to be for sale. So like I make money on just the different projects that I occasionally sell, and then on the memberships for people who want to see the stuff that's going on as it goes. Also, I write and produce videos and stuff. People who are on the who are in the membership can go to the video. There's actually an index version of the video library. I don't have a way to show that to you right now. See if I can. I think it's videos.mrforth.com. Yeah. So you can see I'm not signed in. If I were to sign into my membership though, then you could go you could go see all the index version of the videos that I've produced. I haven't done a video since February, so it's been a little while on that. But I try to produce things that help people understand different parts of computer science or to advance a particular area of tooling. Like the majority of what I do, I call practical research. It's research to impact uh, places where programmers are getting caught up on just practical limitations. Nothing. It's not like theoretical groundbreaking stuff. I'm not you know, an AI researcher or a programming language researcher. I'm not doing any kind of new groundbreaking math. It's just there's a bunch of stuff that is theoretically possible for the computer to do, but in practice we don't get there. We don't get to the point of it working all that well. And so I try to attack that part of the problem, taking things deeper into being practically reliable. So like for right now, what I'm working on is improving object file rewriting, because this would give us the flexibility to do a lot more fine tuning, fine tuned design on the project that I came, like was inspired by up until this point. I've got a project called the RPG Simulator that I use to kind of discover new techniques of programming that I could advance. And for anyone who thinks that what I'm doing is interesting or useful, there's that membership program. It's also very early days. I've only been running this business for about a year. It was July of last year that I publicly announced it. So it's still in a early growth and discovery period of what exactly works best. You know. Okay. So we validate that the ID is good, and then what we're going to do is get the node index. If this is a valid ID, use the ID to index this new array we've created that gives us a section index, mapping each node to a section index. Okay, I'm getting there. So we generate the section blocks, the symbols on those, and the sections themselves. Finally, let's also generate relocations. Have relocation push? Yes, we do. Have a relock list, right? Right? I don't see one. I see. We make one for each section. list, and then the offset. Okay, so here's where we need to go. Unfortunately, right now I don't have any way of knowing what the relocation is going to look like, because there's a little bit of information missing. So I think I have to just stop here. Ultimately, what I would be doing is something like iterating all the relocations of a section. But as you can see, I've been doing this thing where I'm iterating all the nodes and then filtering because I haven't built any of the acceleration structures that'll make baking faster yet. That's just a first pass. We aren't even using relocations in this test case, so just it's not going to matter. We're going to leave it at that level. Then we got to do these things. Bake the symbol table. Get the header block figured out. Pull the file. And we get a crash, which is good. That means we have something to bug rather than um, like this. Rewrite the parts that bash transition. Expect all of this just keeps working the way it used to. It's here where new stuff happens. I said to stop right here. what goes wrong? Okay. Okay, so it's just something wrong with the initial allocation process. Allocate section fields, allocate a data node. Index is not 0, then grab that index, grab the node. That should be a free node. Node, next free index is 2. Oh, okay. Let's do this part first and then fill the node. That makes sense. So next free index is now 2. Set this thing to that. It's got a 1, 2. Great. And when it becomes time to generate with it, what happens? Count all of our sections and we get 2 sections. Good. Store out the information. Indexing those sections from node.indexes. This says OGL render V shader. Section 1 offset 0 is external. All looks good to me. Right, symbols like that. You notice we have to do those data blocks first so that the symbols can be pointed into the correct spot. That should create a couple of sections. Section. Look at that. It still ends up with 5 patches. I don't even know where they're coming from. But you do in fact want this whole data block patch system up and running somehow. That's just outputting the file. Okay, so it looks like we're running to completion. That creates OGL render shaders, huh? Okay. Then I guess the test case here is let's pop over to somebody who's actually using that, right? Closer. Whoa, it builds. Okay. And does it run? Do the shaders work? Yeah. Yeah, no, that's everything. Okay. I mean, that's pretty great. We had a little bit of bugs in there, but they sorted out pretty quick, and now it's working. So, I mean, it's not complete by any means, but that's feels pretty good to see that that just came together. So, that's a good spot to commit. It's just like thanks, but your time's up. You're done. You're done. Cool. Cool. Yeah, so I guess the next step is to try to go all in. Like the pattern is up and running already. So if the pattern is up and running, now the next step is to do feature completeness. Right, we want to just implement all of it. And then take another look at where we're at from there. I think now's a good time for me to take a break, though. You know, that's a good hour and a half of work, concluding with checking in a new piece of working code and a plan for what comes next, which is just the rote recapitulation of this pattern and the filling in of the small details that I've skipped so far. Um, And then, of course, there's the other piece, which is flattening out the generator stuff here. So I think the order of events that I've got in mind is finish feature completeness for first pass design. Begin simplifying away the intermediate abstraction. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to take a break here, figure out my lunch plan, and be back for another couple hours in the afternoon. Maybe even longer session to do both of these. How I feel. All right. So if you've been hanging out, thanks for coming around and seeing what I'm up to, and I will see y'all later.